Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Happy Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Sierra, and today I am joined by my good friend and colleague, Mr. Dallin Baker. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Happy to be here.
So Dallin is actually part of the team here at Weave, and he runs our people experience. He's going to talk more about that later. So he actually has a proven track record in people management, which is what we're going to talk about today. He's passionate about creating enriching experiences that foster positive company cultures. Everything from optimizing onboarding processes to refining leadership practices, he ensures that both employees and organizations thrive. His diverse experience in support, training, and even drone photography has equipped him with a unique perspective on team dynamics and the importance of learning and experience. Did I miss anything there?
No, I don't think so. And I think the drone photography, that has the biggest impact on everything.
No, I think that's definitely going to be a something people are interested in for sure. Yeah. I wanted to do drone photography.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
we have our topics that we want to talk about today about, our topic for today is cultivating thriving teams, insights on people management. But the way we do things here on the show is we want to talk about you first. We want to talk about your story.
Yeah.
So give us kind of the Dallin 101 about your professional journey.
Yeah. So it's been quite an interesting ride. I actually wanted to go into dentistry. Chemistry kind of kicked my butt in college, so I had to find a different path. But
it kicked my butt too. Well, yeah. I kicked my butt in high school.
Oh.
Did you get a? I got a C.
I think I did okay in high school, enough to get through. Loved anatomy, but yeah, chemistry really kicked my butt in college. So I had to rethink my plans. I found geography. I've always had a passion for geography, and then I didn't want to work in a government position, so I was like, okay, I need to find my way out. I found a mapping related startup, and so that was kind of my way with geography into the private sector, and then came over to Weave. And I've been at Weave for almost 4 years. This is my 6th position. I started as a part-time support rep. So I started working with our customers, and now my customer focus has changed to our people since I'm on the people team. And being the people experience manager, it's been a wild ride. It's been super cool. Been in this position for about 2 years, and over company culture and, like you mentioned, new hire onboarding, leadership development, kind of everything but the kitchen sink, as some have said, including facilities and building security and various events and a bunch of other things. So, but it's a lot of fun.
What did you know that you were going to end up in that direction?
No, not at all. I don't think any kid ever thinks like, oh, I want to go into HR. But I really love that I found my spot here. I think, with geography as a background, I think very spatially and visually. And so I feel like that is a good kind of skill to have and a good kind of diverse aspect to have in this field. But also having different, I guess, early career perspectives. I did a food service job. I worked in a bakery, and with my last name Baker, I got all the jokes, but worked in a bakery. And then during college, I also worked in an advisement office. And so I worked as a front desk receptionist, and now managing the front desk team at our office building here at Weave. It's given me a lot of respect and insight into what they do, as well as what a lot of our customers experience.
There's a lot of office managers watching that I think will relate to that story, yeah. And I'm a big believer that you bet on the jockey and not the horse.
Yeah.
As in, you find somebody who's going to be a great fit for your company and for your culture, and then have them grow with you, right? If somebody would have had a really myopic, narrow-minded vision about, well, Dallin just does support and Dallin just works with the customers, you wouldn't have had the other 5 jobs. Right? And it's super important to find somebody who's just the right talent, the right attitude, and the right fit for the goals and the mission that you're setting out to achieve. Now, before we get into the specifics of kind of broader people management,
yeah.
I want to just ask, having so many hats and responsibilities, does it feel chaotic?
Very, constantly, yeah. And like you said, relating to office managers, yeah, managing the office building, it's a lot. I could be in a leadership training and then I'm getting messages about a leaky urinal and trying to figure out when does that get taken care of. And it's a lot of fun taking care of, we have, about 500 to 700 people that come in here pretty regularly. So managing that much kind of traffic, all of those needs, and making sure that everyone has a quality experience from the moment they come into the door to the moment they leave at the end of the day, that's a lot. And it can be a lot. Not just the planning and execution that takes place, but also like the feedback. Sometimes the feedback or the suggestions can be taxing, but it's kind of finding the nuggets within that and the truth within that, and taking that and turning that around to be a positive add and a benefit to those that you serve, your customers.
What are some experiences that you've had that have helped you learn how to juggle so many things all at once?
Yeah, I think one skill that I really appreciated, that I appreciate having learned, is being able to say no without saying no. You have to do it very tactfully. But if someone comes up and they're like, "Hey, can we get this thing for the office?" It's like no one wants a flat out no. And I don't want to shoot them down. I don't want to stifle or inhibit their creativity and the feedback opportunity that's there for them to say, "Hey, I'd love to see this. I feel that this thing would benefit my experience here, and here's my idea." They're exposing themselves to a lot of vulnerability, and you can't just shoot it down. I don't know, if I'm at my dentist and I'm like, "Hey, I think this would really make me feel more comfortable here." I'm sure you want to do that to help that customer. And so doing that for employees here at Weave, sometimes it's not feasible. Sometimes it's not going to work at the scale that it would need to be successful, more than serving just that person. And so you have to handle those situations with grace and tact, to say no without saying no. Like, "Hey, I totally understand that you love soda. I don't know that it's really going to make the most sense to put a soda machine on every floor. But if your favorite soda is out at the Pepsi machine, just let me know and I'll make sure we have it in stock." And so then, no, I'm not able to get you Mountain Dew on every floor, but I can make sure you always have Mountain Dew where it serves everyone else.
I think that's such an important communication skill. You look at managers and you look at people that are in the business of working with people. I think too often we kind of get in our own head and we forget the other person's humanity, right? And I love the approach that you're taking, that on the other side of even the stupidest question or the most random thing is a soul, is a human being.
Yeah.
That has their own perspective and their own point of view. I've heard that a person's point of view is kind of like a foreign country.
Yeah.
And when you visit there, you want to be a polite visitor, and try and see something from another person's perspective.
Yeah. And their whole history, their whole kind of mental language and how they think about things and how they communicate those thoughts, kind of like what you were saying. Yeah, it's like understanding that country's history, how they operate, why they do the things that they do. And yeah, just being a good visitor, a good tourist, as they're kind of opening up the doors to let you visit and come into their mind with that thought, and not just bashing it down and leaving a bunch of damage everywhere, but really taking care of it and saying, "Hey, I respect that and I appreciate that." And then maybe you could call it a graceful exit with a no without saying no.
So let's do a role play. What if let's say you were working at a dental office,
Yeah.
and I came to you and said, "Dallin, why don't we change the name why don't we change the name of our dental office to, I don't know, something super random like Pink Dump Truck Dental."
Adam, I think that's a fantastic name. And I know pink is one of our favorite branding colors at Baker Family Dentistry. I think a lot of our customers appreciate kind of the family feel of our name. And as you see families coming in, I think it might kind of distract people too much from what we're trying to achieve with family dentistry. But I love the creativity of Pink Dump Truck Dental. But I'd love to hear what other ideas you have.
You heard it here first, folks. That was great.
Thank you.
Love that.
But yes, let's talk later about Pink Dump Truck. Maybe it doesn't work for dentistry, but I'm sure we could find something else, some other business venture.
So I appreciate you playing on that and being a good sport. Let's talk about the life cycle of an employee. So everything starts out with employee onboarding, and it's a really vulnerable time for people.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think goes into creating not only a successful employee onboarding experience, but an exceptional one?
Yeah, I really like that. And I want to, I guess, zoom out a little bit more. Looking at the entire employee life cycle, it depends on every interaction. When you think about it, how you treat your customers can really impact kind of the employees coming in or the potential recruits into your business. So let's say you're a dental office and you have a family that are patients at your office. Maybe, this couple, maybe their niece is just graduating as a dental hygienist and you have an opening at your office for a dental hygienist. How you treat those customers will directly impact her perception of your office as she goes to apply. Because they might say, hey, our dental office just opened this position for hygienist. You should apply. We love it there. And we love all the staff. We love the practitioner. You should go apply. And so she has this positive mindset of the office coming in even before she's applied, interviewed, gotten hired, been onboarded, and started her first day of work. And so there's so much that goes into it beyond that. So for Weave, it's how we treat our employees that are already there because, they bring in their own referrals to apply for positions, but also how we treat our customers. But more focused on your question, it starts from kind of the very first contact of someone applying for a role. And then what I've been focusing on is the moment they sign the offer letter. And so making sure that there's a good transition for Weave as our business. We have a recruiting team, and then it transitions over to kind of me and my team and some other teams within HR. And so making sure that those handoffs are done well and that there's continuity of contact so that there's never a disconnect. You're not getting a text like, hey, so glad you signed the offer. Congrats on starting at Weave. This date is your start date. And then just nothing from someone else. And then you're left wondering hey, is someone gonna contact me before my first day? But when you have that constant connection, no matter what team it is, you're building that foundation of trust with that new hire. And then I rely on that when they come in with me on their first day. And so part of my goal of new hire onboarding is to help them connect with kind of the heart and foundation of Weave. So making sure that they understand our values, our mission, our culture, and kind of the heart and body and mind, the heart and mind of Weave, where our focus is and how we do what we do with our core values. And so knowing if they'll be a good fit there, which has to happen in the interview process before they start, which we do. So with new hires, making sure that they have a good bond to the company as we're nurturing that bond with Weave, but also that they have a good, strong bond with each other. As you're starting a new job, maybe you're by yourself, which I've had new hire groups of one. Maybe it's a medium-sized group of 3 to 4 new hires. Maybe it's a large group. I don't know what this would look like for practice, but I've had groups of 20 to 30 new hires at once. And so helping them feel a bond to each other. I'll take my example of the one individual. I wanted to build a relationship with them and not just have it be kind of like a teacher-student of, hey, here's everything Weave, but hey, let me kind of go shoulder to shoulder with you at this and kind of bring you along as if you were my best friend, kind of first day of school, and I'm showing you all the ropes, helping you meet my friends. And then I always do an activity with the new hires. So it always depends on the size. But with him, he and I went and played cornhole. And so we played cornhole, and we didn't chat about anything work related. And so we were able to build that personal connection so that I could better understand him as a person and grow that connection. And then in other parts of onboarding, help him build that connection as a professional to the company. Gallup is a great kind of industry leader on strengths and leadership development and personal development. And they have a kind of series of 12 questions to gauge experience. I know it as the Gallup Q12, or like their 12 questions. One of them is, do I have a best friend at work? And you can't change that question because it totally changes the outcome. If you say, I have a friend at work, that doesn't mean the same thing. But if you have a best friend at work, that helps you stay. That helps impact your entire journey. We all have crappy days. We all have ideas that get shot down. We all have, calls with customers or bosses that don't go well, and we may have a bad day. When we have that best friend, they're the one we can go to help boost us up and kind of get us through that as they know the context at work. My boss really loves this question, and he still tells me about his friend at a job 3 companies ago that he started with on the same day. He was going into HR. This other guy was going into the accounting team. They didn't really interact on the day-to-day, but they started their first days together, and they've stayed connected since. They are still friends to this day, even though they've both gone separate ways. But because they made that bond there, they became lifelong friends. Not to the point of yearly vacations with each other, and you don't have to force best friends, and it may not look that way. Maybe it's that they're a really good connection here for now, great. That's kind of up to them. But if you're able to provide that connection to the company with kind of the heart and mind, the mission, vision, and goals, but also the core values and how we do what we do and why, and our belief behind things, with the connection to the company, and you get that connection with the people, that directly impacts the success of a new hire and how long they stay.
I love that, and you dropped a ton of valuable insights there. One of the things that called my attention is 2 things. First off, people tend not to quit companies as much as they quit managers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, those of us that are working with people have to really look in the mirror and say, hey, am I somebody that people want to work for?
Yeah.
The second thing, a lot of businesses right now are struggling to retain employees, especially in healthcare.
Yeah.
And there's not one silver bullet that's just going to magically fix all of your staffing problems. It's really the culmination of several different things. And one of those things that can't be ignored is, does that person feel like they have a home here?
Yeah.
Do they feel like they fit in? Do they feel like they can show up every day and be themselves, and people will like and appreciate them and treat them with respect?
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the foundational pieces. You have that in place. I mean, you really get to know somebody on like a personal level, even those simple interactions, like when you're playing cornhole with them, and you actually get to know them as a person, ask about their life, and get to know their hobbies and their interests. You're going to have not only an employee for life, but you're going to have a connection for life.
Yeah.
And that's something that really enriches not only your business, but your overall life as well. Okay, let's talk about culture. Company culture is kind of a double-edged sword. It can either be your biggest asset or one of your biggest weaknesses. And Weave is known for having a fantastic company culture. That's one of the reasons that I joined Weave 5 years ago.
It was why I joined. I was in a
Exactly.
business marketing writing class to fulfill a GE requirement, and I researched company culture, found Weave, and then I applied.
So now that you're kind of the torchbearer for Weave's culture and people experience, tell me about that. Like, how have you kept that going? Is culture something you can control? And if so, what are the levers that you can pull to influence the culture at your business?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I guess I feel more to relate to our customers, more like an office manager rather than maybe the practitioner that started the business or the office. I didn't found Weave, in case you didn't know. So I wasn't one of the founders. I wasn't one of the early employees that were kind of there at the day to set the culture. I'm relying on what was built before me. And so I have to kind of continue that legacy, not drop the torch, but also help it stay alive and grow. Not just maintain its altitude, but to keep rising and keep improving. Kind of like when we went from 3 core values that were each a single word, now we're at 5 core values where they're each kind of like a phrase. And I think that's not so much that, oh, our culture has changed. No, everything changes. We have matured. It's no longer just hungry, creative, caring. It's care more, stay hungry, think creatively, do the right thing, and the customer is everything. Those other 2 that weren't there before, they were kind of implied, but we defined them more because we said we want to show a greater focus on those, and because we know of the importance. And so, that being said, maybe some of the levers that I pull or that an office manager could pull is focus on kind of some simple one-on-one interactions. As you do that, you'll see kind of the impact that you can have by those simple actions. If I am chatting with someone and we're on the first floor and I say, hey, come here, let me show you our snack closet. And then I let them pick a snack out of the closet, out of the whole stock. I'm putting their hand in the cookie jar at that point. But maybe that makes their day if they were having a rough day. They're thinking better about their interactions at work, and that kind of happiness has a positive chain reaction. And so that could have effects that I don't even know about, but that just continue on as this ripple carries through. So that's one thing, is if I'm kind of feeling anything, not necessarily being off, but if I feel like I need to make an impact, I start with those one-on-one interactions. Then looking at kind of what's the communication traffic or kind of path of the culture. What's coming from the top down and what's coming from the top up. I'm sure we've all been with leaders that are kind of good at giving a good rah, 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 but then there's the meeting after the meeting where people are like, yeah, we're not doing that. And so, we don't just want it to be where the C team or the C-level executives are saying, this is the company culture. And then the newest employee on customer support on the phones is saying, that's not what I'm feeling. So I think when we look at that, then we can kind of look more specifically and say, okay, what's going on kind of with the boots on the ground or kind of the employee base in general? Why is there a disconnect there? Kind of triaging and looking for the source of the issue and not just kind of wiping over it and saying, oh, I guess we need to change our culture. Maybe not. We have good core values. What was kind of the cause of the issue? Not really the symptoms, but what was the cause? For an office, it can look like how do you interact with everyone else in the business, in the office? There are free or very cheap or very expensive things you can do. Not saying that buying things for people solves everything. But there are really simple kind things you can do. Just like one of the features that I immediately fell in love with, I'm very social. I love social interactions. So when I first learned about Weave and like with the call pop feature, and it's like, oh, if I was, and I'd recently come from a customer support role at the mapping company, and I had experience as a front desk receptionist. I would get calls from people, and I'm like, I don't know kind of any of their background. I'm having to do some student verification, but then I don't know, did they talk to my team member a couple days before and gave them the whole story, and now they're having to tell the whole story to me again. So I love that you're able to keep notes of patients, and so you can say like, oh yeah, they did have this life experience recently, or last time they were in, we talked about how they just welcomed a new grandbaby, or hey, we're not really sure what's going to happen with this thing in our family. And so when you're able to remember people, and that's something free you can totally do, is kind of write down notes of important things to help with those one-on-one interactions. And so I would say, yeah, maybe you don't plan a whole day off and a party for everyone at the get-go, but start with those one-on-one interactions, and you'll see that chain reaction.
Love it. I 100% agree with everything you said. I'm a big believer that a little bit of leadership goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And I think you, as the leader, can establish a vision, and you should establish a vision. When you couple that with everybody on the team having skin in the game and having ownership over it, that's when you start to see those fantastic results and those cultures that really rise above the rest, the best places to work that people really want to go to.
Yeah. 100%.
We've had a great discussion, and we've talked about a lot of different things. The last question that I want to ask for people that are doing HR, not necessarily as their full job, but as part of their job, mm-hmm. What are some common misconceptions about human resources, what it is, why it exists, and what you're supposed to do?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm not a babysitter. I'm not a cop. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. Jokingly, I say I'm the fun HR. But it's when you look at HR, it's human resources. And so they're there to help the humans with resources. And if you're like, oh, but their allegiance is to the company. Yeah, yours is too. You're getting a paycheck too, to an extent. So I think that's some of it where it's like, oh, well, like they're not looking out for us. And it's like, well, they have responsibilities to the business, with those resources, and to you as an employee of the business. So it's a little more complex than just saying, oh, they're either for the people or they're for the business. But, in the context of what someone can do if they kind of cover some HR responsibilities, really learn how to listen. That is a big lesson. That's something that I've really tried to work on with my teams. And, whether it's something positive or maybe something negative that they experienced, just really being able to sit there and listen just with the intent of listening, to hear what they have to say. And then, having experiences in previous manager roles and my current manager role, when a team member of mine has a negative experience, just being able to sit there and listen and then validate them and like, I'm so sorry, that sucks that you had that interaction with a client or a patient. I'm sure that was really hard for you to experience. And I've had similar experiences. And time out, don't take that as like an on-ramp to the freeway of your own story, but like I've had similar experiences, so I know how you feel. But let's talk about a plan of what you can do to avoid that in the future. Not necessarily change their actions, but let me give you some tips on what you can do to be better prepared in those situations to kind of protect yourself if it was a negative, customer interaction. When we're able to listen and provide those resources, then we're able to empower them to fight their own battles. And as we're able to help people grow, what we've been talking about the whole time with onboarding, I'm really passionate about the term onboarding because I hate the term new hire orientation. Orientation is when you go to an amusement park, you sit down in the ride and they're like, okay, keep your arms and feet inside the vehicle at all times, have fun. That's a checklist and then you go. And you never see that person again until the end. What onboarding is, it's planting the seed of that person in your business and then watering them, nurturing them, giving them good soil and good nourishment so that they can grow and flourish. When you're able to do that in the context of HR, you're continuing that nourishment that started since day one. And if that's all you have to do for HR, and if there's any issues, you pass it to someone else, you can help make an impact on that people experience and improve or continue the positive company culture.
Love it, and 100% agree. There's so much that HR wraps around and falls under their umbrella, and at the end of the day, it's working with humans and it's providing them resources. And I love that you talked about how it's not mutually exclusive, that they're supporting the business or supporting the people, and a lot of the times, those two things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
We're at the end of our conversation. Do you have any closing thoughts for everybody?
Yeah, I think just look to improve every experience. And it's really about the people. It's about the people you work with. It's about the people you serve, and just every impact you have. You touch lives that you may not even know about. Every interaction, when you smile at someone at the grocery store, or you have a conversation with a coworker, that could make a difference in that person's life. And just knowing that, for me, that drives me to act differently, to act in a certain way, because I want to improve their experience. Yeah, I don't work for the grocery store, but maybe they needed that smile today. And so just looking to improve each experience.
Well, Dallin, I really appreciate you joining us on the show, and thank you to everybody who watched and listened. And until next time, stay happy. Take care, everyone.